I'm Dr. Brad Watts for Biogenetics, doctor of chiropractic, and an expert in functional medicine, clinical nutrition. Hey, I was recently in Florida teaching a seminar on how to improve your outcomes with your regen patients. I got to pull back the cover on what your patients are actually doing in their lifestyle to turn on the effectiveness of your human cell and tissue product interventions, or turn them off. And if you're going to be putting $1,200, $1,500, even $2,000 worth of human cell and tissue product into somebody's joints, you probably want to make sure that they are ultra effective. After the seminar, there were 3 main questions that I got asked, and I want to go through those real quick for you right here. Question number 1, what's the deal with turning on and turning off inflammation? And the answer to that is real simple. There are 2 types of inflammation in the context of a regen setting that you are dealing with on a daily basis. That first type of inflammation is a systemic inflammatory problem that you don't want. It is what turns down the effectiveness of your regen interventions. Systemic inflammation quashes your patient's ability to lay down new cartilage, to put those scaffolding proteins to work, more joint space, and to have less pain, for crying out loud. Systemic inflammation is the off switch in a regen set. Unfortunately, systemic inflammation is coming from your patient's lifestyle. We talk about a couple of different triggers for the systemic inflammation, but my favorite one by far is called LPS, lipopolysaccharides. They're normally produced by gram-negative gut bacteria, and they cross that gut barrier into the bloodstream, creating an endotoxin reaction, and that's like taking a blowtorch to every cell of your body. It gets angry, it gets irritated, and here you are walking into the doctor's office in pain, and it doesn't need to be that way. It just doesn't need to be that way. That first type of inflammation, the systemic inflammatory problem, is something that your patients have the capacity to calm down. I introduced a product called the Regen Support Kit, and Biogenetics has put together information based off the medical literature that will provide your patients with a dampening effect. We support the patient's ability to decrease the inflammatory issue on their own, medication-free. And that really leads us to the second part of this question, and that's how do you enhance the human cell and tissue product experience? How do you make sure that there's actually the inflammation you want, the good inflammation in the context of a regen setting, present and active in abundance? Good news, that second type of inflammation is a local inflammatory reaction that is inherent in the stem cell. It's inherent in the human cell and tissue product itself. That means when you introduce that human cell and tissue product to the host, you are introducing a local inflammatory reaction. There's no way around it. The problem comes into play when your patients are using anti-inflammatories, which we know they can't, in order to suppress pain and inflammation. It turns off the stem cell. And the same thing happens when your patients are dealing with systemic inflammation. It turns down the effectiveness of that human cell and tissue product intervention. So just to recap real quick, there are 2 types of inflammation in the context of a regen setting. One helpful, one hurtful. The plan moving forward is to turn down the hurtful inflammatory, the systemic inflammatory reaction, while allowing the local inflammatory reaction to thrive. 2 different mechanisms, 2 different cascades of reactions, and 2 different outcomes. Question number 2, doctor, how many kits do you recommend that each of my regen patients goes through? Biogenetics recommends that each patient gets 2 kits. That's approximately 60 days of support. We know that the time frame that it takes the human cell and tissue product to do its job, 60 to 90 days to get the thing rolling in the right direction, and we want to make sure that you're giving your patients the proper inflammatory support the entire time. There are some clinics that use far more than 2 kits per patient, as their patients tend to like the result and staying on a maintenance dose, but that's totally up to you. We recommend 60 days. Third question was this, doctor, if I want to hear this presentation again, where can I find it? And you can certainly find it on the Biogenetics Learning Library, biogenetics.com/learn. If you have an account, you'll have the password to get in. Just email me as well, brad@biogenetics.com. We'll get you taken care of. If you're one of the few AMI docs that hasn't started utilizing the Biogenetics Regen Support Kit yet with your regen services, you guys are missing out. You are missing the ability to give your patients building blocks for quality joint tissue. The human cell and tissue product is more like a field general than being integrated into the new joint tissue itself. And it requires healthy building blocks. It requires the ingredients for a healthy joint in order to do its job. And that's what this is all about, providing quality nutrients that are bioavailable and giving your patients a way forward. All right, for biogenetics, I'm Dr. Brad Watts, a doctor of chiropractic and an expert in functional medicine and clinical nutrition, and thank you for watching this quick video.